Find the point on the number line that is halfway between 1/4 and 7/8. Let's first draw a number line. And when I first draw the number line, I'm going to start with drawing 0 and 1. So this whole unit's 1, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I know both 1/4 and 7/8 are smaller than 1. When I split the unit of 1 in half, there's 2 pieces, so that means this is a half. And if I take each half and split that in half, there's now 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So each of those pieces is a fourth. 1/4, 2/4 is the same as a half, 3/4, and 4/4, which is the same as 1. And if I take each fourth and split that in half, I'm now making eighth pieces. So this is 1/8, and then 2/8 is 1/4, so then 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, and 7/8. So now I can mark where my starting and ending points are. So I'm starting at 1/4, and I'm going to 7/8. So this is the distance that I'm looking at, and I want to go halfway between these points. If I count the spaces currently that exist that are 1/8, between 1/4 and 7/8, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. And going halfway between those could be hard because there's only 5, and 5 is not divisible by 2, but I can just split my pieces in half. So I could just say, well, here's 2 spaces, here's 2 spaces, so I'm going right in half. That's one way to think about it. The other way is I could take each of my 5 spaces and split them in half. And then I would know I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spaces, and I just need to go halfway between those. And so halfway between would be going 5 spaces. So where I'm highlighting in yellow right now is, oops, that's not yellow. It's halfway between 1/4 and 7/8. But I need to know what the coordinate is of that point. Okay, and so there's a couple ways to think about this. One way is we know that 1/2 is 4/8, and so if this is 4/8 and this is 5/8, and this yellow number in between, it must be halfway in between, so it must be 4.5/8. Sometimes students don't like that. They're like, 4.5/8, that feels uncomfortable, even though it is a fraction. So what we could do instead, is I'll highlight in gray, is think about how big these spaces are. What we do know is what we had partitioned in black, so from 1/4 to 3/8, from 3/8 to 4/8, from 4/8 to 5/8, we knew that was an eighth. And so if we split an eighth in half, that makes it a 16th, because there's 8 spaces between 0 and 1, and now if I split every eighth into half, that's going to be 16 spaces between 0 and 1. So if these are 16ths, what I could do is think, well, I know that if I had 16ths, a half would be 8 16ths. And so if I went 1 over, that would be 9 16ths. And so the answer to what point is halfway in between 1/4 and 7/8, you could either write that it's 4.5/8 or that it's 9 16ths. If you wanted to think about this with the procedure, we would want to think about what the blue space is, like what I've highlighted in blue. And that's the distance between 7/8 and 1/4. So we'd want to do 7/8 minus 1/4. And 7/8 minus 1/4 is 5/8. And that's because 1/4 is 2/8. And so 5/8 is what this distance is between 1/4 and 7/8 in blue, what I've highlighted in blue. Okay, so then if we want to go 1/2 of the way, we need to find out what's half of that blue distance. So I would do half of 5/8, which is 5/16, which we can see that highlighted in green right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16. And so if I wanted to figure out what the final answer is, I need to think about what my starting point was, which was 1/4. And now I'm going to be adding that 5/16 to it. And 1/4 plus 5/16 is 9/16. And that's because 1/4 is 4/16, and 4/16 plus 5/16 is 9/16.